Welcome back. All hour, we've been talking about the power of forgiveness and sharing remarkable stories of people who say that learning to forgive helped them heal and ultimately find peace. But forgiving doesn't mean that we forget. After spending 20 years of his life as a slave, Frederick Douglass escaped and not only freed himself from the bondage of slavery, but became one of the most electric speakers of the 19th century and a powerful voice of the abolition movement, exposing the horrors of slavery. But decades after he was enslaved, in an extraordinary display of forgiveness, Frederick Douglass visited his former slave owner on his deathbed and also wrote a letter to him. He wrote, "I love you, but hate slavery." In a captivating one-hour HBO documentary currently streaming on HBO and HBO Max titled Frederick Douglass in 5 Speeches, a group of well-known actors have come together to perform and bring to life the words of Frederick Douglass. Most legendary speeches and their bold voices remind us that Frederick Douglass' words about racial injustice, sadly, still resonate deeply today.
My friends, I've come to tell you something about slavery.
Our newspapers are daily disfigured by its ghastly horrors.
Imagine that you had to dispel doubts about your full humanity every time you picked up a pen. Having to fight that battle over and over every day. That was the life of Frederick Douglass.
The actors featured in this brilliant documentary, Andre Holland, who is known for his incredible performance in the Academy Award-winning film Moonlight, and Denzel Whitaker, who you know from movies like The Great Debaters and Black Panther. Thank you both, gentlemen, for joining us today. Andre, my friend, it's so good to have you on. Congratulations on this documentary. Listen, we were just saying about Frederick Douglass and forgiving, and I asked the podcast creator, Jonathan Golston, earlier, are there some things that just are not forgivable? We clearly see here with Frederick Douglass that even slavery was something he felt you could forgive. And he uttered those words. What was it like reading and being a part of this at this time?
Yeah, it was really incredible. Hello, it's good to see you
Good
again,
to see
Tamron.
you.
It's really incredible, and you know, as you said, I think that Douglass's decision to forgive, as you said, it's not about forgetting the atrocities of slavery, but it really is a radical act of acceptance that really is for the forgiver, I believe. And I think that Douglass left us with an incredible example of how forgiving is really a recognition of our shared humanity, which seems to me to have been at the heart of his work.
But Denzel, you know, at this time you have people, and I love that we have this great diverse audience and people who watch our show from all over the world. So often when you bring up slavery, people go, well, I don't want you to blame me. I don't want you to hate me, because the past makes them afraid. The past is where we learn to forgive, because if you don't talk about it, how can I forgive you for it?
Absolutely.
And the reviews, one review described this documentary as being an urgent bulletin from the past that speaks to our present moment.
What I'd have to say about that is oftentimes there's guilt faced on both sides when something has went wrong. And I know I faced this personally within my own life, and I can only imagine how Frederick Douglass felt. He was born into slavery. So what do you say to a situation like that where you should feel this hate and animosity? And a lot of people did. You know, we still carry this generational trauma that weighs on us. So for him to have the courage and the foresight and the knowledge to be like, no, I, forgive my slave master. Many times people who commit atrocities against each other don't know the evils that they do. So you have to have the heart and compassion to see through that anger, to see through that hate. And on the other side of that, say, I love you, and hopefully open up that bridge to have the love to overcome the hate.
Well, it is a brilliant thing that you've done and participated in. I know you both are so very, very busy with different things. This show is on forgiveness. Denzel, have you struggled with forgiving people in the past?
Absolutely. There's definitely been moments in my life that have been trying. And I recount there was one day where I was listening to a sermon early in the morning, and they were speaking about Jesus in his last days and how even when he knew the disciples who walked with him, were going to betray him, he still sat and washed their feet. And he broke bread with them, and he said everything was going to be okay. And just by simply hearing that, that gave me the strength and the courage to forgive some of the people within my life.
Wow.
Because even though there were certain things that were committed against me, I know that when I leave this earth, I don't want to leave with pain, guilt, confliction. You know, I don't want to have enemies at the end of the day.
Andre, I would ask you a heavy, deep question, but I have to forgive you for something. I forgive you because your father tried to get you to marry me, and you did not. We were at Oprah Winfrey's house. This man came and grabbed me and said, "You got to meet my son and marry my son." Is that a true story, Andre?
That is a very true story.
I mean...
I thank you for the sympathy. I have to defend that. I try to defend myself because I missed out.
Oh, that's okay. I love you. You're my brother. I love you. Congratulations on this. We're so proud. Give your dad my love, Andre. Andre and Denzel are part of this extraordinary documentary, Frederick Douglass, in 5 speeches, currently streaming on HBO and HBO Max. We'll be right back.